You are watching Breakfast, and when Fearne isn't knocking out 90s bangers on Radio 2 or podcasting about mental health, she's probably writing these days. She's already published more than 10 non-fiction books, but now has written her first novel, and I'm very pleased to say you're here on the sofa.
I'm very pleased to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it, for you, over the last... People will remember you being one of the real voices of Radio 1, and then you took that step back and you took this step into writing. Yeah,
I mean, none of it was planned. I'll have to be completely honest with you. I think I left Radio 1 at a time where, I'd done a good 10-year stint. I'd really enjoyed it there. I've been broadcasting for much longer than that, but I felt like I needed a real change at that point. My mental health wasn't great personally, and I didn't know what I was going to do next, but I knew I needed to just sort of switch everything up. And the first thing I did was write a book called Happy, maybe 7, 8 years ago now. And that book was received well, which I was very grateful for. That was talking about my own mental health. So that led to this whole world of creating Happy Place, which is my brand, where we do a festival and we have books and the podcast and an app. But I think I really found this passion for writing and expressing how I'm feeling and what I'm observing in the world through writing. So it's become a real passion. But writing a fiction is a completely different beast.
Tell us. A really completely different
Tell
us a little bit about the story, because it's got a really interesting premise.
Yeah, it's got a nice message to it. So the protagonist is a lady in her 30s called Jade, and she has real difficulty saying what she wants. She's a bit of a people pleaser. She finds it hard to say no. She has some really big characters in her life that she finds really tricky, and she doesn't feel she can stand up to them. So the sort of fantastical element of the book is these sort of scripts that Jade keeps finding just strewn around the place. If you imagine what sort of a theatre script would look like printed out. And these scripts have scenes from her life that haven't happened yet. So by finding these scripts, which of course really freak her out, she starts to notice that she's not really saying what she wants to say, or she's not saying no when she means no, or that she's not saying anything at all in these dynamics with people in her life. So she has that clarity, and then through the arc of the story, she tries to doctor the scripts, tries to find her own voice. So it's her real journey of, finding her confidence and finding her voice.
And you talk about the fact that this is the first fiction novel you've read, but clearly from what you're saying there, from the journey that you've been on over the last 9 years, there are elements of it that you've clearly brought into it, in terms of, finding yourself, feeling confident about yourself, those sort of mental health aspects, really.
Without a doubt. I think I couldn't write a book unless there was some nod to mental health or growth or something in there. And I think it's a relatable subject. Most of us have felt like we can't say what we really want at some point in our lives, or with one particular person or a scenario. So although Jade is absolutely not me, there are life experiences that I've definitely felt deeply that I wanted Jade to experience and learn from. So I have channeled a lot of that in there. But it's really fun and light as well, and there's lots of drama in there, which was just fun to play around with. But the process of writing it was entirely different, a completely new skill set.
How do you write? Do you have a place in your house that you write, that you shut the door and...
Kitchen. Because then I can get to the kettle easily. There are snacks at hand.
The biscuit tin.
Yeah, biscuits and toast and all that sort of thing going on. But because obviously I've got a lot of other stuff going on, I just had to write in snippets. So I would sometimes get up an hour before the kids, do a bit before the school run, or a bit after they were in bed, and just these little snapshots of time, I would just focus and get as much in there as I could.
So how long has it taken you to write? Because when you've got kids like that, trying to find those little moments for yourself is not easy.
No, it's not. But it was pure escapism. It took 2 years, but every time I had those little snapshots where I could just dive into the story, it was pure joy. So it never felt laboured or like an effort. It was just pure fun. There was a lot of hours and it was a lot of work, but I loved every minute of it.
Who proofread it?
No one in my actual life, sort of friendship-wise. It was all professionals.
I was going to say, are there any characters in there that people who know you might recognise themselves?
No, I've taken great care to ensure that the characters are very different. So one example is Jade has a nightmare sister, dramatic nightmare sister. I have the most lovely, chilled-out brother ever. Okay. So I've tried to ensure that all the characters are almost the opposite of what I've got in my brain.
Because that could be awkward otherwise, right?
I mean, people might read into it and go, is that about me? I can assure you it's not. These are from my brain.
Everyone, Fearne is just saying, absolutely right here, right now.
It's not you.
That must be a consideration. I guess the difference
course.
between doing your sort of usual non-fiction novels to this is that it's your imagination, and you inevitably your life experience will be put into the pages, kind of almost subconsciously.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's weird, you know, because people, well, some people might know a little bit about me. I don't want people to think as sort of me as Jade. I've taken great care to ensure that Jade isn't me, but of course people might still hear my voice when they're reading Jade's character, so that was a bit tricky, definitely. But it was just a great exercise in learning a new skill set and getting that discipline down, and it was a joy, an absolute joy.
A bit nerve-wracking now.
Terrifying, not
getting it out there for the public.
Terrifying, because for some reason it does feel more exposing than writing a non-fiction. Non-fiction, you know, if you relate to my experience, great. If you don't, no problem. But this feels like this precious little idea that I've incubated for a couple of years now, and it just feels, yeah, precious to put out there. But I've got to relinquish control and just, it's out of my hands now. If you like
it's too late
great.
now.
If you don't, you don't.
It's been printed, the book is out there, the cover is out there. Fearne Cotton, it's delightful to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. All the best with the book. And Scripted is out tomorrow.